Have you ever wondered how you want to live as you get older? Many people think aging means slowing down, or, even worse, being forced into a nursing home. But what if I told you that doesn't have to be your reality? Meet Grandpa Jack, an 83-year-old man who still enjoys his daily neighborhood walks, savoring the familiar sights of his longtime community. Or take Mrs. Alice, 76, who reignited her love for cooking by teaching classes after retiring. And then there's Mr. Tom, 79, who found fulfillment through community gardening, cultivating new friendships and a sense of purpose. In today's video, we're sharing 6 inspiring stories of seniors who broke free from stereotypes, embracing aging on their own terms with creativity and independence. Before you think a nursing home is your only option, let's dive into how these individuals have created lives full of meaning, joy, and freedom. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. If you're inspired by these stories or have your own to share, drop a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And remember, aging with purpose is just the beginning. Let's start with Grandpa Jack. At 83, Jack is a lively man who lives in a quaint neighborhood just outside Denver, Colorado. He's been a fixture in his community for decades, known for his daily walks through the tree-lined streets, always greeting his neighbors with a friendly wave or a quick chat about local news. But recently, his family began to worry. Jack had slowed down a bit, and they thought it might be time for him to consider moving to a nursing home. Jack, however, wasn't hearing any of it. "Why would I leave my own home?" he'd say, shaking his head with a smile. "This is where I've lived for over 40 years, and I'll be damned if I let a few aches and pains stop me from enjoying my morning walks." His children, initially frustrated, decided to respect his wishes. They set up some small changes around his home to ensure his safety, adding a handrail on the stairs and placing non-slip mats in the bathroom. His son, Matt, started coming by a few times a week to help with house chores, and his daughter, Liz, would stop by to walk with him. Jack also joined a local senior fitness group that meets every Tuesday and Thursday at the park just down the block. Through these adjustments, Jack not only kept his independence, but found a new sense of purpose. He even joined a local walking club for seniors, where he became close friends with Bill, another retiree, and they now go on weekly hikes in the nearby Rockies. Jack's story is a perfect example of how aging doesn't have to mean giving up the life you love. It's about finding new ways to keep living on your terms. If Jack can do it, so can you. What would you do if you couldn't take care of yourself anymore? Would you give up your independence? Or would you find new ways to stay active and enjoy life? Let us know in the comments below. Next up, meet Mrs. Alice, a vibrant 76-year-old who lives in a small town in Oregon. Alice had spent most of her life as a high school librarian, her days filled with the quiet rhythm of books and the occasional chatter with students. But when she retired a few years ago, she found herself feeling a little lost. Sure, she still had her book club meetings and gardening, but something was missing, a purpose beyond her daily routine. That all changed when her neighbor, June, invited her to a community cooking class at the local senior center. At first, Alice hesitated. "I've never been much of a cook," she'd admit, but June insisted, saying, "Alice, you might surprise yourself. Come on, it'll be fun." Reluctantly, Alice showed up to the class, not expecting much. But to her surprise, she absolutely loved it. The class was filled with people her age, chatting and laughing as they prepared simple but delicious meals. Everything from hearty soups to homemade pies, all made with local ingredients. The teacher, a chef from Portland, was warm and engaging, showing Alice how to cook healthier versions of her favorite dishes. By the end of the class, Alice was hooked. Cooking became her new passion. She joined more classes, learned to make fresh pasta, and even started experimenting with meal prepping for her neighbors. She now holds monthly cooking parties at her home, where she invites friends from her book club and neighborhood. It's not just about the food. It's about the connections she's made and the joy of trying something new at an age when many might expect to slow down. What could you try if you stepped outside your comfort zone? Alice didn't think she'd ever become passionate about cooking, but look where it's brought her. How about you? Is there something new you've always wanted to try, but never got around to? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Meet Mr. Tom, a 79-year-old retired firefighter from Tampa, Florida. Tom spent most of his life running into burning buildings, helping save lives, and being a strong presence in his community. After retiring, he found that life was slower, quieter, and a bit more solitary than he had expected. His days were filled with watching TV, reading old detective novels, and occasionally going for walks around his neighborhood. But Tom knew something was missing. He was a man of action, and being idle didn't sit well with him. One Sunday afternoon, while at his local farmer's market, Tom overheard a conversation about a new community gardening project at the town's senior center. The idea was to grow fresh produce, share tips, and even have potlucks where everyone could enjoy the fruits and vegetables of their labor. Intrigued, Tom decided to give it a try. At first, Tom wasn't sure what to expect. He had no experience with gardening beyond a few tomatoes in his backyard. But as soon as he got his hands in the soil, something clicked. He loved it. Not only was he learning new skills, like how to grow kale, cucumbers, and peppers, but he also found a sense of camaraderie with other local seniors. They would meet every week, discuss gardening techniques, and swap stories about their families, the neighborhood, and their past experiences. Tom even took on a leadership role, organizing the garden's layout and helping newer members get started. Gardening became Tom's therapy. It gave him purpose, a sense of responsibility, and, most importantly, the chance to make new friends. Every time he saw the sunflowers blooming or harvested fresh tomatoes, he felt a sense of accomplishment. He no longer felt like a retired man stuck in his house. Instead, he felt like an integral part of his community, helping others thrive. Tom's story teaches us that it's never too late to find something that brings us joy and purpose, even in our later years. Whether it's gardening, volunteering, or finding a new hobby, there's always room to grow. Have you found something new that keeps you engaged and connected? Share your experiences in the comments. Mrs. Linda, an energetic 78-year-old widow from the small town of Bozeman, Montana, had always been a lover of adventure. She had spent her younger years traveling with her late husband, exploring hidden gems across the U.S., from the Great Smoky Mountains to the beaches of California. After his passing, she continued to live in the charming log cabin they had built together, surrounded by breathtaking views of the Rocky Mountains. One day, as she was walking through her cabin, she found an old map tucked away in a drawer, a map filled with marks of places she had visited over the years. It made her realize that she had so many more destinations left to explore. Why should age stop me from seeing the world, she thought. Unlike her friends, who had become hesitant about traveling alone, Mrs. Linda wasn't going to let age keep her from experiencing the joy of the open road again. With a heart full of excitement, she decided to embark on a solo road trip. Her children were concerned, but they knew they couldn't talk her out of it. "If I can handle a drive across the state, I can handle this," she said with a grin. Mrs. Linda's first stop was a beautiful national park in Wyoming, where she camped under the stars by a campfire, just as she had done many years ago. She visited the vast plains of North Dakota, relishing the quiet beauty of the rural roads and the sense of freedom that came with them. Along the way, she discovered small roadside diners that served fresh apple pie, the very thing that reminded her of her husband's favorite dessert. Each day, Mrs. Linda made it a point to visit a new place that had been on her bucket list for years. She would stop to take pictures, engage in local conversations, and savor the quiet moments of her journey. And as she crossed state lines and explored the beauty of the American West, Mrs. Linda discovered that she wasn't just on a trip. She was on a personal adventure, proving that age is no barrier to following your dreams. Mrs. Linda's story teaches us that adventure isn't just for the young. It's for anyone who's willing to take that first step, no matter their age. It's a powerful reminder that life doesn't have to slow down after retirement. It can be a time to explore new horizons, challenge yourself, and make unforgettable memories. Mrs. Linda's road trip wasn't just about crossing miles. It was about proving to herself that she still had so much to experience. Mr. Harold, an 84-year-old retired engineer from Detroit, Michigan, had spent most of his career working with machines and blueprints. A quiet man with a keen mind, Harold had always enjoyed tinkering with gadgets, building model trains, and studying the mechanics of old cars. However, after his retirement, he found himself feeling disconnected. His wife of 58 years, Linda, had passed away 3 years ago, and the silence in his house had grown overwhelming. One day, as he was sorting through some old boxes in his attic, Harold discovered an old model train set he had built with his son during the early days of their family life. The tracks were dusty, and the trains had long been untouched, but the memories came rushing back. Suddenly, the idea sparked. He could bring it all back to life. Determined to reconnect with his passion, Harold decided to revive his hobby of model train building. He set up a small corner of his basement, dusted off the trains, and began meticulously restoring them. He started researching modern techniques, watching YouTube tutorials on the best materials, and even attended a local model train show at the Detroit Historical Museum. It wasn't long before Harold's home was once again filled with the sounds of whirring engines, perfectly aligned tracks, and intricate miniature landscapes. What began as a quiet hobby quickly grew into something more. Harold began to connect with other model train enthusiasts in his community. On Sundays, he would attend group meetings at the local community center, where he shared his progress and learned from others. He even started a small YouTube channel to document his restoration projects, which caught the attention of other enthusiasts across the country. For Harold, model trains weren't just a way to pass time. They were a bridge to his past and a gateway to new friendships. They reminded him of the joy he once had with his son and gave him a renewed sense of purpose. Mr. Harold's story is a testament to the power of rediscovery. It's a reminder that just because we age doesn't mean we lose our passions or the ability to make new connections. Sometimes, all it takes is a spark of inspiration to revive the things that truly make us happy. Whether it's a childhood hobby or something entirely new, there's always room for growth and joy in our later years. Meet Helen and Walter, a lively couple in their late 70s who have spent their entire lives living in a quiet neighborhood in the heart of Chicago. After years of hard work, raising children, and building careers, they've entered a new chapter of their lives, a chapter that's all about rediscovery. In their youth, they were busy with the hustle and bustle of life, but now, in their golden years, they've decided to embrace the art of letting go. Helen and Walter realized that their large home, which once served as a hub for their growing family, had become a bit too much for them to maintain. The lawn needed tending, the stairs were becoming a challenge, and the house simply felt too big for the two of them. They made the difficult decision to downsize, leaving behind the home they had lived in for decades. However, unlike most people who might view downsizing as a sad necessity, Helen and Walter embraced it as an opportunity to create a new lifestyle. They moved into a smaller, more manageable apartment in a vibrant community for seniors, where they could continue living independently, but with the comfort of knowing help was always nearby, if needed. But the changes didn't stop there. Instead of letting go of things that brought them joy, Helen and Walter decided to embark on a new journey, rediscovering their passions and embracing new hobbies. Walter, once an avid painter but never having had the time during his working years, took up painting again. He spent hours in their new apartment, capturing beautiful Chicago landscapes and abstract pieces that reflected the freedom he now felt. Helen, on the other hand, decided to explore the world of photography, capturing the beauty of everyday moments. Small but significant things she had never noticed before, like the way sunlight hit their apartment windows in the morning or the intricate patterns on leaves in the park. They also became active members of their new senior community, where they participated in group activities like art classes, community gardening, and even dance lessons. Helen and Walter's new life was no longer about staying stuck in the past. It was about living fully in the present, with no regrets. Their story reminds us that growing older isn't about looking back in sadness, but about embracing the opportunity to try new things, rediscover forgotten passions, and create a vibrant future. Helen and Walter's courage to let go and move forward with open hearts shows that every chapter in life, no matter the age, is an opportunity for growth and joy. The stories of Grandpa Jack, Mrs. Alice, Mr. Tom, and others reflect a powerful message. Aging doesn't mean losing control of your life. In fact, it's an opportunity to embrace change, take on new challenges, and maintain the independence that matters most. These individuals prove that choosing to stay active, pursue passions, and adapt to life's changes doesn't mean rushing into a nursing home. It means actively creating a fulfilling life on your own terms. The key lesson here is simple. Don't rush into giving up your independence. Whether it's taking a walk around the neighborhood like Grandpa Jack, starting a new hobby like Mrs. Alice, or setting out on a solo road trip like Mrs. Linda, the options are limitless. Aging is a time for new adventures, not surrendering to the belief that you need to give up everything that makes you feel alive. So, take a page from their stories, find ways to stay engaged, pursue what brings you joy, and keep making decisions that empower you. There's always a way to keep your independence as you age, and it's never too late to start. Let's keep living life on our own terms. If you enjoyed these stories and feel inspired, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more empowering content. And if you've experienced something similar or have advice to share, leave a comment below. We'd love to hear how you're making the most of life at any age.